At this point, the stunt has become very familiar. Migrants flown or bussed from border states to liberal cities, often left in politically pointed locations like outside of Vice President Kamala Harris's D.C. residence. These are not coordinated humanitarian efforts. They are stunts by Republican governors using people as pawns to own the libs, often giving less than a day's warning to the local governments and charity groups helping migrants in those liberal cities. It happened yesterday in Los Angeles. A local humanitarian group, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights in Los Angeles, was tipped off just one night before Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott bussed 42 migrants to their city. According to that humanitarian group, the migrants, including children and toddlers, arrived in Los Angeles after a 23-hour bus ride without food, a claim that Governor Abbott denies. For many of these migrants, being shipped to a random liberal city means family separation and the disruption of their asylum claims. And that was the case for some of the migrants who arrived in L.A. yesterday. One migrant told the California humanitarian group that he had an immigration interview in New York, which he now risked missing. He said, "I don't know how to read. I don't know what this paper says. All I know is that they told me I need to be somewhere in New York. Is that nearby?" The group also told the New York Times that when they learned that Texas was busing migrants to L.A., they thought it could be a false alarm, like the many they had heard in the past. In the past 2 weeks, Governor Ron DeSantis flew 36 migrants to Sacramento, California. But the stunt has become so common that even though this was the first time a Republican governor sent migrants to California, the city was ready. Last night, L.A. Mayor Karen Bass disclosed that she directed the city to plan for an event like this last year. So yesterday, the migrants were immediately brought to a local church where they were given food and supplies and toys for the children. They were offered attorneys and help to getting to their actual intended destinations so that they might continue their legal immigration process. This is not a natural disaster that Los Angeles developed a contingency plan for. It is a man-made one, and one that is now repeated so frequently that responsibly running a city requires planning for stunts like these. Joining me now is Tim Miller, former communications director for Jeb Bush's 2016 presidential campaign and now writer-at-large for The Bulwark. Tim, thanks for being with me tonight. And I think the experience you had working with Jeb Bush is so critical in a moment like this when we try and understand how this sort of the cruelty, the expense, the gamesmanship, that all of this became good optics for Republicans seeking higher office. I mean, how did we get to this point?
Yeah, it is crazy how dramatically things change. I mean, Jeb, just as an example, perhaps seriously, he took this issue and he wrote an entire book with chapter upon chapter. And I'm sure not all of your viewers agreed with every single suggestion he had, but the whole point of it was how can we come up with a reasonable policy that balances, securing our borders with being humane, being compassionate. Remember, compassionate conservatism. And just the departure from that to what we're seeing now, just on both levels. One, it's not a serious effort to solve the crisis, right? It's not as if Greg Abbott's saying, oh, I'm going to go work with other governors. We need to share the burden. Right? I mean, I interviewed Jared Polis for The Bulwark. Jared Polis is the type of governor who's reasonable in Colorado. He's welcoming. He's libertarian. I have to imagine that's someone you could call up and cut a deal with Texas and say, hey, we'll share some of this burden. That's not what's happening. This is not an effort to solve this problem. It's a total troll, and it's a troll because unfortunately, the reason why this has changed within the Republican Party is what Republican voters want. And the more relevant experience I have, unfortunately, Alex, is not the Jeb campaign, but last year during the midterm, going to a Kari Lake and a Blake Masters event in Arizona, the DeSantis migrant stunt, the BS migrant stunt, was the biggest applause line of the day for Blake Masters. Now, part of that was because he has no personality, but another part of that just shows that this is what the Republican voters are motivated by this. And that's the most depressing part about the whole thing.
Yeah, and I remember you going to that event, Tim. The fact is, I mean, there's the economic cost, right? Just if you're an anti-migrant state, that is going to cost you economically, given where labor is these days. There's also the fact that Ron DeSantis has filled his coffers with $12 million allocated to really just own the libs by using migrants as pawns. He's taking Texas migrants and paying for their flights to liberal cities, which is on so many levels absolutely I keep using the word bonkers in this program, but there is no other word for it. But the essence of this is what you point out. It's the cruelty piece. And to me, it seems like immigration has become this kind of county fair for Republicans to show off their cruelest policies. Why the lust to be mean to fellow human beings? Why is that gotten such a toehold? Why is that seized the imagination of the GOP?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there are a lot of underlying elements. I hate to blame everything on Trump, but I do think that Trump did unleash people's darker angels, right? I think that it's true. I think that people got a taste for this, of enjoying watching him insult, degrade, demean people they didn't like, enjoy him say things and propose policies that no one would ever have imagined, like a Muslim ban or things like this. And I think that opened the door to this, and other copycats saw that there were these base instincts within the Republican electorate, that they had a response to this. And I just think that the DeSantis thing, to your point, it is such a category difference. You have to say this. I mean, the Greg Abbott thing is gross. And like I said, he at least is on a border. The DeSantis thing is a purely performative stunt that paid for by Florida taxpayers. So it's not conservative in that sense. There is no substantive need for it. He's surrounded by water. He's not on a border. There's no policy that he's solving. It is purely hey, I know Republican voters will respond to me being mean to these migrants, and more importantly, being mean to the liberals, the so-called snooty liberals that I'm going to send these people to. And that is the sickest part about all this, at least with regards to DeSantis, is it's not even a policy issue that he's dealing with in the state. It's purely performative.
Yeah, and it bears mentioning that DeSantis won 58% of the Latino vote in Florida, where he has enacted some of the most draconian immigration policy that's going to make it harder for migrants to go to the doctor. And it's beginning to affect his support among Latinos. I just wonder if you think that so publicly broadcasting a just deeply cruel policy towards people who also happen to be largely of Hispanic origin is going to be a problem for Republicans seeking to win a general election.
I do. And this is the point. DeSantis did do that. And some of the rhetorical stuff was before the election, but the substance was not, right? Like this bill that they passed in Florida, for example, where you have very deep punishments for people who are even traveling with, migrants, giving aid to migrants traveling across the state with them, like bringing them from, where they might have traveled to another part of the state for shelter or whatever. Now there's felony penalties for that in Florida. So I do think that will hurt him. I think that he benefited. We could do a whole show on why Ron DeSantis ended up getting 58%. I think there were a lot of reasons for that. His opponent and some of the COVID elements, and there are other things, the Cuban community down there. But I do think that it's going to hurt Republicans. Interestingly, some with Latinos, but a big portion with the folks they've lost. College-educated suburban Republicans, my people, who are attracted to the compassionate conservatism, and who have abandoned the party in droves. And those are people of every race, but a lot of white folks in the suburbs who are being turned off by this. And I think you're seeing that in Atlanta suburbs, Phoenix suburbs, Republicans being punished. And I think DeSantis would be punished in the same way that Trump would with those voters in particular.
And then there's just the weight on one's own conscience to send toddlers on 23-hour-long bus rides with no food. Tim Miller, thank you, my friend, for your time tonight.
Thanks, Alex.